Hey everyone, it's Niall and Tomas from niallpoints.com, and we are back with another video. And this time we are bringing you a little bit of a debrief of Eurovision in Concert 2024. We attended the concert last weekend. So at the time of recording, it is Thursday. So we're 4 days after the infamous weekend. It was a lot of fun. We had the chance to chat with some of the contestants of this year, two interviews of which you can already find on our YouTube channel. Unfortunately, we are not able to release the other four interviews that we did due to audio issues.
Don't buy microphones off of Amazon, guys. That's
No.
advice to you.
Not a good idea. The sad part is we had an interview with Nemo, which is the hot favorite for Eurovision 2024 and one of our personal favorites. And they were so lovely, and it was such a fun interview. And we are really, really gutted that we can only give you two interviews out of the six that we've done. Unfortunately, the interviews that Neil did were all affected by the sound issues. But he was a natural, I can tell you that much. And we hope to bring you interviews next year. Unfortunately, we have not applied for press accreditation for Eurovision itself because we're not
busy.
Crazy. Yeah, and we're not crazy. We were already crazy enough to apply for accreditation for Eurovision in Concert, which we got, by the way. We were the first ones to apply, apparently, because we were really shocked as to why we got accreditation in the first place. We were like, we just started out in January. There is no way that this is going to happen. And then 2 weeks before the concert, you text me, check your emails, and we got accreditation. We were like, okay, emergency meeting. We need questions. We put so much time and effort in those questions. Jesus Christ.
We had a 4-hour meeting. We had a 4-hour crisis meeting, and we still hadn't got questions for all of the acts.
Yeah.
Thank God, because it didn't go any longer because
obviously
we didn't get to use them all. But
we didn't get a lot of time, and there were long lines for a lot of the artists. And then, as if it couldn't get any worse, 4 out of the 6 are just ruined due to audio. Oh.
But we will try and write up a summary of what happened. It might not be word for word. Our memory, not so good.
And we can maybe chat about them here as well.
Yeah, we can have a few chats. Well, will we talk about the press room first then?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Press room first. We didn't know what to expect, but thank you to Dudepois Anne for taking us under her wing. We do love you. But we didn't know what to expect. All we knew is that we had some cheap equipment that we could use to try and get some footage, and we had questions. We didn't know what to expect, really.
By the way, the footage, the actual footage.
Oh, crisp, smooth.
Quality.
Apart from one
shit. But we have footage. We have proof that we were there.
And we have footage of Tomas getting a hug from Nemo as well. But we'll come on to that. So it started with an introduction of a lot of the artists. Not all the artists had arrived. Musti was still in bed, apparently.
Some were doing sound check.
So we saw a lot of the artists come in. Because we got in quite early, we managed to get a good spot. So we were so close to all the acts coming down, which was so surreal because, my God, like, I've met a couple of Eurovision acts in the past by chance. Funnily enough,
shout out.
Alessandra, we love you. We went to Starbucks to see if we could find you again. But this was just weird because it was all these artists in one room just walking right past us. And then it got quite funny because some of the people who were late, Cornel Mass had stopped introducing people and was given like a intro and stuff like that. And you just had Nasa from Georgia just sitting there being like, where the fuck do I go? At one point, I think Thomas has a photo of her just greeting like,
oh. And we were filming it, so we actually have footage of that as well, I think. Or I don't know if you turned the camera off already.
We might have turned it off by that point. However, lovely to see everyone in some beautiful fashion. Sylvester was wearing this beautiful blue trench coat with blue jeans.
It's like a poncho kind of with boots.
Great. Megara looked fantastic in black and pink.
Colleen looks
Colleen had a beautiful jacket with extra long sleeves. Absolutely no need for those long sleeves. Just Klein looked a little bit like a magician.
He did. I like his looks though. I like his looks, and it just like it fits so well with like the haircut, and he's goofy. Really just messing. He's goofy. He's really just messing around. I think if one artist is enjoying everything, it would be him. Like he was just smiling from start to finish, cracking jokes. At some point, I think we went round the corner to go to the bathroom. He was being interviewed in like the hall, like sort of like the hallway, and he was just cracking the silliest jokes. At some point, one woman was interviewing him, and she asked him like, which one? I think it was like, which one of the artists would you like to spend a day or like a night in the bedroom with or something? I don't know. It was a similar question to that. And of all women he could have chosen, he chose for the lead singer from Nebulosa, which I thought.
I saw that. Yes,
that was actually so funny. He's just a lot of fun.
So, yeah, there's a lot going on. He had a lot of laughs with Cornel Mass to begin with as well. They did their group photo, and then the press event started. Like the interview started, and we were like, "What the fuck do we do now?" Yeah. We had prepared. We just didn't know what we were sort of doing next. So we sort of like scrambled for a little while, if I remember. Like, we were like, we didn't quite know where to go or who to go see, and then we ended up being next to Nebulosa.
That was the first one. Yeah.
And no, Nebulosa wasn't first. It was Finland.
Oh yeah, it was Windows 95, man. Yeah, it was. Because we sort of like took a step back, and we turned around, and like people were starting interviews, and we were like, okay, where do we go? Who do we interview? What line do we stand in? And you turned around, and you were like, well, Windows 95 is right here, and they've just finished their first interview. Like, we might as well step in. So we did.
Yeah. So that was good. And Tomas was fantastic. You can watch it, as we've said. They did have to rush off to sound check. So you can in the video see their delegation just like trying to tear them away.
Yeah. But they were lovely about it. They were very sweet.
And we got the jorts. I've got the jorts somewhere there. I think I might have both of them, so I might need to send.
So yeah, I think I forgot to ask them from you, but it's fine. Like maybe take them to Malmö.
Maybe take them to Malmö. I've got other things as well. So
we did get like some explanations are needed. Like you were just talking about jorts. So we did get like a pair of miniature denim shorts which were supposed to go on your fingers. Okay, so Neil's gonna take them out. You can find them. Oh. Look at how cute those are.
My fingers are too big for these ones, I think. But
yeah. I mean, how cute are those? So apparently they handed them out to every member of the press member who got to interview them. So we were super surprised by that. We didn't expect that. We'd asked our questions. And I was actually going to ask them about the pair of denim shorts that they gifted to Marcus and Martinez at the end of Melodifestivalen when they won, because I thought that was a very funny moment. Unfortunately, because they had to go sound check, I didn't have time for that question. So it was quite funny that they gave us those. They were very, very lovely.
I found it quite funny at one point when you were talking to them, and Marcus Martinez literally just turned around and was like, "Oh," they just sort of talked to each other and be like, "Oh, Windows right there."
Yeah,
I found that quite funny. Being like, we're about to try and ask a question about Marcus Martinez, and they're right there,
and they're standing right there. Yeah.
So that was good. Then we've got to speak to Nebulosa. So that was my first interview, and I managed to pick the hardest one because they were speaking through a translator.
But you did brilliantly, I have to say. You really did brilliantly. It's really unfortunate that the sound... So we should probably explain what happened, right? So we had a little... So the sound of the mics was transmitted to like a little sort of... What do you call it? Like a...
Receiver?
Like a receiver, which we had to plug into the iPhone with which we were filming. And apparently it picked up a signal from a different mic, so from other press. So we have footage, but the sound going along with it is completely like a completely different interview being conducted somewhere else in the room, which was really, really.
If someone has our audio,
yeah,
let us know. We'll
let us know.
We'll swap it over.
It made me wonder, like, do other people have our audio? Like, because I'm imagining if we picked up audio from someone else, they might have picked up our signal.
If anyone has me interviewing Nebulosa and me doing a lot of to Spanish that I do not speak, please.
But we gotta say how sweet. I think probably apart from Nemo, who was really, really sweet as well, but Nebulosa, how sweet and cute were they?
Yeah,
they were so amazingly.
And we got to speak about the controversy around the song, and they were really sort of surprised by that, but they loved more how much people had taken their own meaning from it, and had used it as a sort of song of liberation of themselves. We asked a little bit about the Throw the Cup. Obviously, it's taken from trans-political activists in Spain who are iconic in their own right. But we got to ask them about that, and I believe the husband, I can't remember his name, I'm so sorry, was like, "Oh, thank you so much for asking that question. Mary loves to talk about that." I was like, "Oh, what?" Like,
yeah,
it was so wild. But yeah, they were absolutely lovely.
Do we not actually, because I haven't seen the footage, do we not have some of the audio of the translator sort of translating what they were saying?
Very, very quietly.
Yeah, maybe we can sort of like enhance the volume so we can sort of understand what she's saying, and then it might be easier to write it down then.
That's what we're trying to do, babes. But thanks for telling me how to do my job.
I'm not telling you how to do your job. But I haven't seen the footage. Like I don't have you. Like you have the footage, so I have no idea how bad or
how
usable. Yeah. If only to have like the visual proof of the hug that I got from Nemo.
It was a good hug.
You got a hug from Nemo as well.
I forced Nemo to give me. I forced him to give me a handshake.
No, to be fair, I feel like Nemo. You didn't force them. Like Nemo was very sweet, and they really hugged everyone. They were like, they were really thankful as well for the attention and the effort. Like,
we talk about Nemo just now because their line was ridiculous. We waited in their line for an hour.
Yeah.
And at one point they're like, "Is it okay if I go to the toilet?"
Yeah. How cute is that? Like asking us permission if we could go to the toilet. Like, of course you can. Just like we are no one compared to you. I feel like because we did check Nemo's line before we got in the line. We did check it a little bit earlier to see like is it doable or not, because we were starting to realize, okay, we don't have a lot of time. We will not be able to interview all of them. And I did a look around, and I feel like the countries that had the longest lines were obviously Nemo and Jos Klein, which I think, being the host country or like being the host of the event was obvious. But also Croatia, Lithuania, and Belgium had really long lines. We did wait in line for Belgium a while. Then we sort of dismissed it and we're like, okay, we need to see if we can get other interviews done first. Then we waited in line again. And then unfortunately, right before it was our turn, Musti was called away because he needed to go rest, because obviously he's been doing a lot of the pre-parties and also still needed to do some, vocal warm-ups, I suppose. But
he did say he was going to come to Scotland with us.
He did. Yeah. He did. Anyway, sorry. Back to Nemo. We were talking about Nemo,
but yeah, their line was about an hour long. We very patiently, and it was so worth it.
Sorry, Billy is suffocating. Let me just wait until that's over, because otherwise, let's move on. Nemo.
So yeah, Nemo. It was so worth waiting an hour. They were so attentive and thoughtful in their responses to the questions we asked about the lyric. Actually, there was the first question you asked was really good. This isn't even one that we had written down. It was one where, because Nemo is bookmakers' favourite, let's not get too stressed about that. But let's say it's the Sunday after Eurovision and you have won Eurovision. What's the first thing you're doing? And
when you go home.
Was it something about just like the response started off along the lines of, "Oh, you have no idea how the wave of relaxation that just washed over me at that thought."
Yeah, they were smiling, at that question, which was lovely.
Yeah, they absolutely were so sweet. We had our Neopod dilemmas. They took one, and then we stopped recording because we were getting stern looks from the delegation lady.
Yeah.
And Nemo was like, "Can I take another one?"
Yeah, they really liked the questions. It was funny. So basically, what we did, as sort of a little explanation, we had made. There's this Dutch website called Dilemma op Dinsdag, which means dilemma on Tuesday. It's stopped now, but you can still see all the dilemmas. So it's basically like the equivalent of would you rather, like what would you rather? So you get a dilemma and you have to choose one or the other. So we'd made loads of those dilemmas, written them down, or like I typed them out and cut them like into little pieces of paper, roll them up, and we let the artists pick one, and then they had to answer it. So Nemo did take one question and then was like, "Can I do another one?" I feel like they were just happy to get something, like get a question that was totally non-related to Eurovision or to pre-parties or stress or, press. They were just sort of like, "Oh, this is a fun thing to do."
I liked the Neopod dilemmas. We didn't ask Nebulosa or Megara.
Translator,
just because of the language difference. Aiko's dilemma was something else. I think at one point she asked if we were sick or something she said
"You're evil, you're evil." Yeah. She couldn't pick. Yeah,
I don't know something along
which one it was.
You have to have your hands and feet reversed.
Yeah,
or something else.
Or you have to.
You sent me all the questions, but we messaged so much.
Yeah, I had 40, and eventually we used, I think, 5 of the 40 because we didn't calculate the fact that it would probably take a lot of time to queue to be able to interview one of the artists. So unfortunately, we only got to do 6 interviews, and so 2 of the 6 we have been able to release.
So Aiko's was. Oh yes,
your feet and hands are switched, or you have to make 1,000 pieces, or you have to make a 1,000 piece puzzle every time before you eat. Yeah.
I think they ended up choosing hand and feet being switched.
Yeah.
And just
she was like,
figure it out. One of the ones you asked Nemo, I just saw it there, was you have to eat every spider you see, or you always have to hug every tree.
Yeah.
And I think they thought they were just going to get a blindfold or something like that in the end, or it was one of those Vision Pro things, and they set it so that it would just make every tree invisible or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. They really found a way to sort of bypass the question. It was like, okay, but if I have like a VR glasses, I don't have to see all the trees and I can just walk around. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. So that was funny.
Yeah, so we had a lot of fun with those questions, and it did break up a bit of the, asking the same question everyone's asking. So that was fun. So thank you very much to the artists who answered those and took the time to be able to film with us. And we're so sorry that some of your beautiful answers just can't be shared properly. But Amazon, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
We're believing Amazon. We are not putting this on any Amazon streaming pro. Do they even do streaming? I don't know. I don't know. Don't use them. But no, I think overall the press event was really fun. It was long, so we were in there from like 12:15 to 4 something. Yeah. Oh, But what was nice was coming out and there being a table at the bar right across the road and just sitting in the sun and having a pint with some friends. That was beautiful.
Yeah, because some of our friends, our lovely friend Annie, which I don't know, had you met Annie before?
I'd met Annie briefly at last year's Eurovision In Concert.
Okay, so I've
not been on a romantic boat ride with Annie.
No, you haven't. So the thing is, Neil arrived on Friday night. I was there at around noon, so I got to meet with Annie, who is like. Did you see that? What was that?
Did you go like this?
That's the first time I've seen it, because I've been doing that in practically every reaction video where you're like and subscribe, and I've been doing this. You see, that's not doing anything. Also, look at how small my thumb is. Okay. That was sort of random. I didn't expect that. So I did get to meet our friend Annie, who we've known for a while, talking on Twitter. We're in a group chat together. And then Annie was actually around the corner of the venue, waiting for the artists to arrive for the press event. So she got pictures with a lot of them, and then we met up with her and some other friends after the press event. So we did have a nice drink in the sun. I mean, how beautiful was that weather? Like,
oh, it was perfect. It was still a little bit breezy, but it wasn't awful. It was beautiful. Amsterdam, you spoiled us this time around because we had a little bit of rain last time, which we weren't too happy about. But I was quite happy that it was good weather because I left my jacket in the airport.
Which you got back?
I'm not yet. But it's been found, thankfully.
Yeah.
So that.
I'm going to keep doing that now. I'm going to keep doing that now.
I know, and I'm just going to laugh. So yeah, we had that. Then our other friend Sarah was very kindly going to store our bags because we had all of the equipment, even if the equipment didn't work and wasn't losing it. So we put her bags in the nearby hotel, and then we had some pizza and some more drinks before going to the line of the never-ending line.
Oh my God! Thank God it went fast, but that line was ridiculously long to get into the arena.
Around most of Ajax Stadium.
I think, yeah. Also, shout out to Sarah, who is so lovely. It was also my first time meeting her. Such a great person. We love you, Sarah. Can't wait to see you again. What? How did you do that? That's actually a little scary.
Yeah. This episode is going to be Millennials Discover Technology. No, we do love Sarah. She's absolutely fantastic. I met her last year. I spent a Eurovision concert with her last year, as well as Anne Dubois. Fantastic group of people. And Anne got us the after party tickets, which we'll go into as well, because that was a debacle. But because they sold out before Amsterdam Calling even started for the first lot, so we were very thankful that we got some in the second lot. But yeah, let's go. Well, we'll go through who was your biggest surprise in terms of the actual concert? Let's get into the actual music part of it now.
My biggest surprise. Let's go over them. So we should say 30 acts were confirmed. However, 2 acts did not make it. Luna didn't make it because I think she needed vocal rests.
Yes, and I think it was the same story for Saba from Denmark.
Saba. Or one of them had problems with the visa to get there. I think Cornel Maas said something about a visa not being in order to get to Amsterdam.
They're from Poland and Denmark. They don't need a visa.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm so, but those 2 weren't there. So Denmark was not there, unfortunately, which is one of my favorite songs. So that was sad. And Luna as well, Poland, also one of my favorites. So they didn't make it. Out of the ones that did perform, I think the one that surprised me most, although it wasn't that much of a surprise anymore because I had heard from other people from other like previous pre-parties that she was very good, was Georgia.
Yeah.
Which is a song I did not have on my radar. I did say I liked the song when we did the reaction. I was like, okay, this is fun. I'm enjoying this. I'm vibing to it. But I wasn't really listening to the song apart from that one reaction video that we did. But that one really blew me away. Insanely good vocals. And there's a couple of high notes in that song. And she nailed every single one of them. So I think that's the one that surprised me. Because the other ones I was kind of like, okay, we've heard live performances in the national final, so you already had a bit of an idea of how they were live. Obviously, we hadn't had a national final for Georgia, so
yeah,
that's the one.
I think, and that's in regard of Cyprus were really good to see live. Yeah, and I thought we know I love it. Sarah Benici was fantastic from Malta.
She was also very good. Yeah,
she did the flip when I think 6,000 people screamed to her doing the said flip. Was just an absolutely fantastic show. I don't think anyone did particularly badly.
No,
the ones where I have said that I have a little bit of issue with, or they worried me a little bit. I've said this in a previous post. Slovenia, I felt like Slovenia and maybe Serbia, I felt like didn't grab enough because they are maybe slower songs or not as in big pop songs. I felt like it didn't grab the crowd a lot, especially Theodora. I felt really sorry for her because I felt like the crowd just really stopped paying attention for 3 minutes. To a large part, I heard so many people talking around me. I'm quite sensitive to noise, so it was disturbing me.
I didn't really notice that much.
But vocally, she was fantastic. There was no issue. There was an issue where I thought Slovenia just wasn't captivating enough. It just was lacking something. Vocally fantastic. It just didn't draw you in.
And then the difference between then Slovenia and Serbia, and then on the other side, France, for example, which is the other ballot that we saw, is that France sort of relies a little bit more on theatrics. Not in a bad way, but because it is so French and because it really is, I don't know how it is. It's his gestures, the way that he's on stage sort of captivates you. Even if you don't really like the song much, it still sort of captivates you. Like he basically did what he did in the music video. So I feel like that one really worked live.
Yeah.
And people were sort of happy to see him live. Whereas, like you said, Serbia, and I keep wanting to say Romania because of the name Ramonda. So Serbia and especially Slovenia are songs that are going to be relying on camera angles and a full-on staging package with that. Yeah. France doesn't need a backdrop to be impressive. You've got the vocal, you've got
just the spotlight,
the French, sort of gimmicky song, whereas and also France has a hook.
France has a what?
A hook. It has a memorable hook that you remember, that you sing along to, even though it's in French. For me, Serbia has that a little bit. Slovenia does not have that at all. So that one's just really going to depend on the staging. I think that's the moment where that's going to potentially shine.
And then the last performance where I had a bit of a worry for, as much as I love the song in studio.
I think I know which one you're going to say.
Yeah, I've said this in the group chat that we're in, and I have survived being blocked by my friend Tanya. There's just something about it being performed live.
I didn't know what you were going to say then. Okay.
The vocal for me just doesn't tie up with how it sounds in studio. It's so much better than it was when the national final. Obviously, there was issues with the national final. We won't get into that. It sounded so much better, but there's just still bits that just sounded not right to me. And that is just my interpretation of it, or how I heard it. That doesn't mean I'm not saying in any way that the performance was bad. I just thought it wasn't 100% perfect for me.
No, I agree. It wasn't. Yeah. But that's not the one that I had in mind. I had
who
another
did you
one
have
in
in
mind.
mind?
I thought you were going to say Austria. Because I did feel like, although I have to say I did see other performances of hers of the other pre-parties where I thought she sounded really good. I feel like in Amsterdam she was a little bit off here and there. It wasn't 100% pitch perfect, which it doesn't have to be. It's not one of it's not one of those songs that has like super high notes and like belting out. But there was a little bit of pitchiness here and there. Because I think we did talk about that in the arena where we were like, oh, that wasn't 100% like what we thought it was going to be. So I thought you were going to mention Austria.
See, the thing is with Austria, it's one of those songs I don't know if I expect an amazing vocal so much. Not saying it wasn't good. Like there was bits where you could certainly hear she was on a different note than the backing vocals, for example. But she still absolutely sold the crap out of the performance. There's no denying that. But no, I think I just didn't have maybe the same expectations there. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But no, I thought everyone was really good. There was just a few where I was a little bit worried for them. Did you have any others that you wanted to comment on in terms of the performance, good or bad?
Well, I think we should leave good for in a minute, because there were a lot of really good ones that I do feel like I want to mention. I'm trying to go over the list. One that I do want to mention is that there was an issue with, which was outside of his control, was Ollie Alexander from the UK. And I feel so horrible for Ollie because he has been through a lot of shit lately, especially in London, where there was the protesters who seemed to be out to get him and him alone. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it was in London and he is representing the UK. I don't know. But they've been attacking him left and right, which I don't think is fair. And on top of that, there was a lot to do about his performance in London as well. People were saying, oh, he's like, it did sort of look like he lacked energy, like he was sort of like exhausted and sort of like not really in the performance.
He was in the performance here, though.
He was in the performance in Amsterdam. Like he was really giving it his all. He was dancing, he was smiling. He was really singing very, very well. I have to say, he was vocally very on point. And then at some point, the vocals were just like gone. And I think we were all sort of like confused, looking at each other, like, okay, what's going on? Like, has he stopped singing? Because I had flashbacks too. I don't know if you watched Eurovision 2009. Were you already watching Eurovision back then? I don't know.
I don't think so, no.
Or have you watched it back? Or
I've not watched 2009, no.
Okay, so there was an issue with Hadise from Turkey, or I should say Turkey now, where I think she had laryngitis or something. She was really ill, so she was not singing for parts of the song. And I thought, oh, is Ollie sick? Is that why the vocals are suddenly gone? And then they came back a little bit, and then they were gone a little. And I really thought
he met the girls from our room.
Sorry?
He met the girls from our dorm room in the hostel.
Oh, because they were sick. Yeah, possibly. So I was like, oh no, is he sick? Is that why he's not singing? And then at some point, the vocals came back, and he shouted through them out, like, I'm back! And the whole crowd was like cheering for him. So apparently he had audio issues, so his mic wasn't working properly. So that was the problem.
Yeah, he did seem to. He seemed to carry on the whole way through, though.
Oh yeah, he was
well. Singing. It didn't stop and had a lot of charisma. No, I thought that was really good. I don't really think there was too many other issues.
No.
Just looking through the list, no, I think everyone had really good, strong performances. San Marino were a lot of fun, as we would have expected. We can talk about Norway. Norway were fantastic. There was lots of throwing guitars around. At one point, I genuinely thought it was going to hit the guy. At one stage, we turned around and one of the musicians was behind us.
Yeah. He was standing in. I think it was for Jost's performance at the end.
Mm-hmm.
He was. I do want to discuss Norway just for a little bit, in a sense that Norway has sort of, I don't know why this has happened, but has sort of been forgotten in the fandom. People are not talking about them anymore. They have gone down in the odds quite a lot. Like they were nearly top 5 at some point, and now they're somewhere around 14th, 15th in the odds. I don't know. Really, really low. And that really surprised me already before I saw them in Amsterdam. Now seeing that live performance, I mean, I think I just did I'm doing the 30-day challenge on Twitter where you're like, day 1 favorite entry, blah, blah, blah. With best vocals, female vocals, I put Italy because I think like she's been very, very consistent. But the lead singer from Norway, those vocals, they go right through you. It was pitch perfect from start to finish. It was mesmerizing almost. And I remember thinking, in such a small stage with pretty much no, like, there's not no light effects, there's no lasers, there's no backdrop, or like there was a little bit, but not, very impressive. There's no camera angles. And yet that really blew me away, that performance. That was one of my favorites of the night. And I remember thinking at that point, Norway is definitely a contender this year. People are sleeping on it, but Norway is definitely in it to win it, and they have a shot at winning, I think.
I think it was one of the first national finals to conclude.
Yeah.
It was quite early on. It was early February, I think, that they chose. Or coming into February, around then anyway. And I think so much happened immediately after that. It's just not given chance for people to actually remember so much. And I think a lot of people have been distracted by some of the more, I don't want to say novelty, but more of the fun songs, Euro Papa, Zavi, Croatia. Those have taken sort of over the forefront of people's minds. But no, I thought everyone was really good. It was really nice to see there was definitely a sort of increased budget as well, because we had about 4 confetti cannons, which was good. Yeah. I think one of my favourite ones was during Zora. We got a confetti cannon, and that was it just felt iconic. It just felt right.
Yeah.
But no, it was a really fantastic show.
Lots of fireworks as well.
Thank you very much to Eurovision In Concert, one, for letting us into the press room. Please let us in again next year, even if we don't apply first. Thomas is trying to get the TikTok. There we go. How funny if that doesn't come up on the recording and we're just going like, We'll see what happens there. But thank you very much to Eurovision In Concert, not only for letting us in the press room, but also for putting on such a good show. To have 30 acts confirmed in the first place is out of 37 possible acts. Yeah. Absolute insane work. Well done.
Shout out to Charlotte Perrelli as well.
Oh,
Queen of Eurovision legend, who performed both of her songs like on separate times. Hero, still one of my all-time favorite songs from Sweden. Should have done much better. And it amazes me how like crazily strong her vocal still is. Like she I don't know how old she is, but she must be in her 50s right now, I think. Is she? Or like at least around like late 40s, I think. So for her to still sound so good, and she was a good host as well, I thought.
Yes, she felt very natural. So no, definitely a lot of and that was one bit where they had issues where they came back from the intermission and the lights wouldn't go on for about 10 minutes. We're just standing there waiting for lights. And another funny moment was at the end, they all line up at the end, but this time they had organised a ball drop.
Yeah.
The balloon release, but it was inflatable balls from Royal Caribbean. Did not work.
No, like
at one point they gave
stayed up at the ceiling.
I think you have sent a video of just the ceiling to me. That's going to yeah, absolutely funny for the wrong reasons. But they did bring them to the after party later on, where we heard Fairy Tale for the second time that night because Alexander Rybak did it at both the main show and the after party.
It's one of those songs though, Fairy Tale, because I remember I think it was Sarah that was like, "Oh, can't stand Alexander Rybak," and then each time the song came on, she was like, "I'm in love." She was like singing along. It's one of those songs, even if you don't like him or if you don't like the song, you cannot help but sing along to it.
Yeah, and Anne was disappointed that there was not a single mention of "That's How You Write a Song,"
which I personally was happy about. But
you know what? I wouldn't have minded if it had done it. I thought it's sort of iconic for how. Yeah, it is. You know, I don't want to be too. I don't want to be too rude about it, but it's iconic in its own right.
He did win the semi-final in 2018.
Still
baffled me, but he did do it.
But no, that was really good. And then of course, Effendi played, but it was really weird for Effendi, I thought, because no one was really paying attention a lot.
Yeah, I think also she was the first one at the after party to perform, and I feel like a lot of I think the mistake that they made, in my opinion, was so obviously the pre-party was held in the same hall where the press event had been earlier that day, which is sort of like a triangular room a little bit, where it had like the stage on like the widest part of the room, and then on the side they had like a sort of gate that went up.
Yeah.
Which was closed down at the start of the party, and then just like when it had started, like 10 minutes, they lifted up the gate, which sort of like made it a little bit more spacious. Yeah. But I also felt like half the crowd sort of went outside of the hall, sort of, and it felt as if it was empty at times.
Yeah,
and then,
but that's also where a lot of the artists were coming through.
So I'm grateful that they did, but I don't think it was a smart move. Especially if you have artists performing in the after party, like people were just sort of like spread out, and that's where I thought, like, how did these tickets sell out when there's still so much? Like, you could practically all lay down on the floor and it still would have been comfortable. I don't understand. There must not have been many tickets on sale then.
I don't know how many they sold.
There weren't that many people. But about Effendi, she was very early on, and I feel like not everyone was in the room, and she was sort of on around a time when the first artists that we had already seen at the concert were sort of like popping in, announced. I think Celia Kapsis was the first one that sort of like came up, and then people turned around and was like, "Oh, look, it's Celia Kapsis from Cyprus." So people went out of the hall to take pictures with her. All whilst Effendi was performing.
We're both guilty.
Sorry?
We're both guilty of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you have the opportunity, and we were pretty close to them because we were standing at the gate when it went up. Yeah. So I don't think that was the smartest move for them, but it was fun for us, of course, to see the other artists.
One artist who didn't have that problem, in fact, I ran back from the toilet very quickly for, was Goe. Absolutely fantastic as always. Shum went mental.
Yeah.
Solivay actually went quite mental as well, and then we all sang happy birthday to one of their friends on FaceTime.
Oh, that was such a sweet. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if it's someone that they knew or if it was a fan of theirs in Ukraine, but they did call that guy. I think it was through FaceTime. In the arena. We all had to be quiet. And what am I doing? What? What's with the balloons all of a sudden?
I don't know.
Maybe it's because I was doing this. I don't know. I do a lot of hand gestures when I talk. I don't know why that is.
We're figuring that out today.
Yeah. This is the first time that's happened, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so she did call the guy on FaceTime. We had to be quiet. And then when he picked up the phone, she talked to him for like a couple of seconds, and then she turned the phone towards the crowd, and we all sang happy birthday for him, which was a super lovely moment. And everybody was, going along with it. I think I'm going to have to give Billy a little something to. In case people were wondering, this is the idiot that you've been hearing. Who is now very excited because he's going to get a little treat.
So this is also going to be the constantly interrupted by dogs video. We have fun. But no, the after party was fantastic. We did have to miss Jedward. I was absolutely gutted about that because we had to collect our stuff and get the bus back to the hostel we were staying at. But my God, what a night. There was one point where I went to get a drink, bumped into Lee Smithhurst, who was obviously one of the heads of show last year at Eurovision, and I was like, I have to just say thank you for such an amazing show. And he was like, oh yeah, what's your name? I was like, I shouldn't be talking to you, I'm drunk. Was what was going through my head.
Didn't you also bump into one of the guys from Norway?
I met one of the guys from Norway for a photo, but who I actually bumped into was after I said hello to Lee Smithhurst, I started to turn around to come back to you guys, and I walked into Slemaine.
Oh yeah, you did.
Not even just to say hello. I literally just sort of walked into him. He was right behind me, and I just turned. I was like, fuck. That was what. So yeah, there was just so many, and then we saw Sarah Benici. Oh, she went on the stage to dance to her song.
To her song, yeah, which was fun. Yeah. We saw Tali. We saw Tali from.
Tali, Hera
Björk from Iceland. Was there anyone else? We didn't get a picture with Slimane, even though he was in the hall, but he was sort of like running around. I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, we also never actually ever managed to get the photo with Windows 95 man either.
We did not,
despite trying. But no, it was such a good event. Press, main event, after party, all fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely fun. If you've never been to a pre-party, I honestly do recommend Amsterdam. It's so much fun, and you're just going to meet so many lovely people. Obviously, we've already said that we saw our friends Sarah, Anne, and Annie. We also bumped into a good friend of mine here from Scotland, Ozzy, who gave us little key rings that they had made.
Oh yeah, let me show.
Yeah.
Look how cute.
They're beautiful.
So thank you, Ozzy.
I bumped into Red. There's just so many people bumping into. You're going to make friends. You're also
as well, which was
oh yes,
Annie's friend from Germany.
Yeah, so you'll meet people, and you can always say hi to me and Thomas if we're there, because we're nice.
We met Euro guy as well.
Oh yes,
which I know, like I knew his name, and he came up to talk to us, and I was like, "Where do I know you from?" And he's like, "I'm Euro guy," and I'm like, "Oh, you're Euro guy." It's funny how you know names and not faces on Twitter.
To me, it was just someone coming up to us being like, "Oh, you're Niall and Tomas," and I was like, "Oh, we're famous! Someone's
That was my first reaction as well. Okay, well, we did get recognized.
Just maybe not for this, but
yeah,
fantastic show, and would further recommend it. Anything you want to add before we leave, Tomas?
I also just want to mention, which I mean, it was always going to go off in Amsterdam, of course, Jos Klein, but my God, my ears were bleeding from all the screaming when he came on. And when he performed, the crowd erupted. Like, obviously, Cornald and Charlotte had already asked at the beginning of the pre-party, do we have any Dutch people in the hall? So it was obvious already then that there were a lot of Dutch people in the hall, obviously. But I mean, I feel like not even the Dutchies, but everyone went nuts when he came on. It was just a scream fest. People were not singing along; they were screaming along. It was shouting, but it was so much fun. We were jumping up and down. That was an insane performance. I can only imagine what it's going to be like in the arena in Malmö.
Yeah, I liked the fact there was a visual that said, "These are not my my actual visuals. Come back and watch on May 9th."
Yeah. I mean, you gotta hand it to him. Like, some of the things that he does on social media, they seem really silly and stupid, but he's so smart that way. Yeah. Like, there's a reason why he's so popular. It's because he he does things that other artists would sort of be like, I don't know if I should do this, but he just does them and it just works out for him. He just has that charisma. I also want to give another shout out to Isaac, which I think is so underrated. Germany song, beautiful song, very radio friendly, killer vocals once again. So shout out to him. Also, I'm not even doing the thumbs up. Musti as well. I was mesmerized by Musti. I was already mesmerized by him when we met him in the press room, and he was so lovely. He also gave us a hug, and he was so sweet and talkative. Unfortunately, he had to go, but
we'll meet him in Edinburgh when he comes.
Yeah, he's coming with us. Yeah, he promised us actually. His performance was also very, very good because I was a little worried after London. I did hear an interview in the press room where they talked about the London pre-party, and I heard him say that he was sick already during that pre-party, and that he had sound issues, so he could not hear himself throughout the performance.
Yeah.
So I was kind of happy to hear that. So I was like, okay, so that was the reason why. And he sounded really good in Amsterdam. So shout out to him.
Angelina as well. That was amazing.
Angelina. I mean, I said it in my 30-day challenge. She's very consistent vocally. The only worry for me with Italy is I just don't know how they're going to stage it. Like, what are they going to do? Are they going to elevate this with staging enough up to a point where it is an actual contender? Because at this point, I don't see it as a contender, even though many people do. Maybe for the juries, but not for the televote. But she was great. So Amir, if you're watching, we know you love Angelina Mango. She was fantastic. She really got the crowd going.
No, it was a fantastic show. No one really did anything.
Maybe Lasagna went off.
Oh,
maybe
Lasagna. I didn't realize how fit he was.
Yeah, and gorgeous. And just gorgeous.
Yeah. I think at one point, Tomas turned around to me and went, "Oh, I've got a new crush."
Yeah, that was when he walked into the press room. I was like, because you'd asked me like, do you have a crush? Like, do you have a crush? And I was like, no, I don't really have a crush. Not like last year with Karya. And then Baby Lasagna walks into the press room, and I'm like, yeah, he's my crush. Yeah, he just looked really, really good. I also just quickly want to shout out Bambi Thug, which we haven't talked about in the press room as well, because we did get to interview Bambi.
Yeah, do watch that video.
Who is... Sorry.
I was just saying, do watch the video. It's amazing.
Yeah, please watch the video. They are as unhinged and insane in real life as they are on stage. I love every part of Bambi. They are so amazing. They were very lovely as well when we talked to them. There was a moment which you can't see in the video because we edited it out. But there was a moment where I was a little nervous during the interview because I was so mesmerized by them that I forgot my last question. And I had to actually check my phone to see the last question, but they were very nice about it. And also, what a performance Bambi gave.
Yeah.
My God. If there was another one that made the arena erupt, it was Bambi.
Also, I also share something in common with Bambi, which is we are concussion besties.
Yeah. They did say that. Indeed. Go watch the interview. It's a fun interview.
But yeah, so we've got our interview with Bambi. We've got the interview with Windows 95 Man and Henry. Do check them out. We'll be writing up interviews about Aiko, Nebulosa, Nemo, and Megara.
Yeah.
Oh, all just so lovely. Everyone we met was so kind. I even got a chance to fist bump Marcus and Martinez. That was fun. Yeah.
Which I was a little jealous about, I have to say.
Well, you were right there. You could have done the same thing. But no,
I was looking the other way. I didn't notice it. I didn't see it. Oh.
But no, absolutely fantastic show. Had a great one. But we will leave it there. We've been talking for like 2 hours at this stage. Not on this video, but overall today. So
also, if we haven't discussed any of your favorites that were there, that doesn't mean that they weren't good. Like we said, every single one of them was. They all really, really delivered vocally on stage. They all gave a great performance. So shout out to the others as well.
We'd be here for about 2 days if we were talking about every single performance, I think. But I wanted to give you guys a general vibe about how it all was. And God, it was so good. So do check out Eurovision in Concert next year, 5th of April. Again at AFAS Live. We will be clipping this and sending it with our accreditation request next year to show that we are advertising them. Do check them out. Do check our videos out. niallpoints.com and niallpoints blog on Twitter and Instagram. I got told off in the last video for not doing our own Twitter and Instagram, so I'm at niallpoints on Twitter and Instagram, and it's at Paidaton Rehua for Thomas.
You butchered it. You butchered it.
Oh, is that bad? I tried.
Yeah. It's at Paidaton Rehua.
What did I say?
You said Paidaton, I think.
Oh, did I actually say what?
Yeah, you did. Also, let's just. Oh, wait, sorry. I need this in the video. Let's just talk about the fact that we went to Starbucks right before we went to the press event, and so Neil always has issues when he says his name Neil, which is written Niall, which
the name of the channel.
Yeah, and normally most people know that name pronounced as Niall. Obviously, it's pronounced Neil. And you said, let me just say Niall, because at least that way they'll write it correctly. I won't have to repeat it. So he said Niall, and the girl behind the counter just sort of looked at you like, really? And you were like, yeah. And she went, okie dokie, and she wrote down a name, and you got the cup. You didn't see it, but we were sitting down, and I think it was Sarah, our friend, who came in, and she was like, what's that on your cup? And we turned it around, and it said snail.
A new era is born. Welcome to Snail Pois, everybody. We are the home of Eurovision and general insects.
Oh my god. And then to make it even worse, the next Starbucks coffee you ordered, you said, I'm for fun, I'm just going to say my name is Snail.
Okay.
You were like, Snail. The girl again went, really? And then she wrote it down, and she wrote down Snill. So she forgot the A. I was like, how did that happen? It was so...
We've had the time of it. To be fair, I've been called everything under the sun. I've been called much worse. So, as you could imagine. But we'll leave it there. Thank you guys again for watching. If you've even watched this far, we've spoken a lot, so you might not have.
Well,
this is for our fun more than anything.
Yeah.
We'll speak to you next time. Bye bye.
See ya. Bye.
Oh, thumbs up.
No, just work with it.
Oh, why is it? Yeah.
For the one.
Oh.